All those headline stories for you throughout the course of the morning, but let's shift gears this Friday. So, you may remember her in one of the most fascinating roles that she's played. She was a female prisoner who was jailed for a crime she didn't commit, and that was in the popular series Lockdown. But in her latest role, she plays a widow who's forced to marry her husband's brother in a cultural practice called ukungena. My Brother's Keeper is the name of the latest telenovela to grace South African screens, and actress Zola Nombona is the leading lady, the lady of the moment. And she's certainly the lady of the moment with us here in studio as she joins us for a discussion of the project and perhaps the other work you've done. You look amazing, by the way. Hello.
Thank you so much. I bathed this morning, you know.
For one.
For one, you know.
But on other days we wake up like this, right?
Come on.
It's great to have you with us. Thanks so much for popping by. And especially because what an exciting time for the industry and more specifically even for those involved in this production.
Yeah.
We'll speak about the plot in just a moment. I mentioned ukungena.
Yes.
Let's start by just explaining what that is, because I think that's the rock bed really of this particular plot.
Look, it is. Well, the culture of ukungena is a culture that is known KwaZulu. This is something that I actually share in common with the Fakazile, that is something that's quite foreign to me. So, trusting me, when Fakazile is shocked, Zola is also shocked as well by what used to happen. But I guess the process is to always to keep the bride within the family. So everyone is kept here. So then the bride then, whose husband has passed away, she then moves on and marries a brother or someone within the family, so that whatever that she kind of partly owns stays within the family.
Yeah, and you mentioned this is something that you wouldn't have experienced as Zola, and that, I suppose, speaks to the importance of doing the research, right? Because if you're going to be able to even just portray the cultural coding throughout the series, you need to know what you're talking about.
You really do. I guess we're really guided well also by Ubabdlovu, because obviously this is a story that he knows, that he came up with, and a culture that he has explored, I guess, or knows more than we do. So we are learned in that sense that Ubabdlovu makes sure that we do understand what's happening, and he's very gracious by that, you know, because he does also understand that it also affects our performances as well when we do know what's happening. So yeah, we're being directed and guided well.
Absolutely. How do you stop yourself from judging your character? Because, I mean, this is a big thing, right? There are decisions they make. Sometimes even on a personal level, you don't really agree with the culture itself. But you still need to be honest and genuine in playing their plight. Yeah,
look, it happens. It naturally happens where you're like, what? This is what you want to do, you know? But I guess it goes back to my responsibility as a thespian, you know, and as an artist, to understand that it's really not about me sometimes. So when I do judge her, I try to step back into it and remember that it's not about me, it's about her. And the only way that I can authentically and truly portray whatever situation she's in is if I don't judge her.
Yeah. Many people in great productions will tell you it's not a one-man show. You know? An ensemble is so important because acting is about giving as it is about taking. You know, how would you describe...
You should be an actor. You know what?
Please sign me up.
Yeah, look, storytelling is a team sport. Storytelling is a team sport. There's nothing else that I can do that would make the story more fuller or more colorful if I do it by myself. So we always depend on our co-actors, we always depend on our directors, on costume and makeup, because everything brings the story together.
And in this particular production, I mean, how would you describe the interactions you've had so far? I mean, it's a great responsibility, right? I mean, My Brother's Keeper is taking over from another incredibly popular series, and you know, South Africans, there's immediately going to be, look, there's been very positive responses, but naturally, people are going to juxtapose, you know, and have that kind of
compare. Look, I think it's something that we are all aware of, because we ourselves are also consumers of, you know, the content of South Africa, and we know that when there's a show that you really loved, and then there's new people who come over, we suss them out a bit, you know. But I guess these are the teething stages that we do understand, you know, with a new show that comes up, and we are geared up for it because we are working so hard behind the scenes, and I can't wait for people to see more. Yeah,
look, again, a couple of episodes have already aired, and I've heard really great reviews about it. You are known for disappearing in your roles. You know, and you know, for people in the outside, that might not sound like a compliment, but it certainly is, right? We can't find Zola anywhere, whether it's what you did on Lockdown, in other series that you've been a part of. I'm interested to find out what your preparation process looks like. What does it involve? I mean, we've seen sometimes people who read their lines and they run off to
a corner
somewhere and they're speaking to the walls,
yeah,
you know.
yes.
Other people who arrive and they don't want to look at their lines because they've already done that work the previous night. What's your process without giving away your secrets?
Yeah, please, hey, because there can only be one Zola. So I studied dramatic arts at Wits University, you know, so there's a bag of tricks that I have. But I think without giving a lot away, I depend a lot on the script. Because that's where all the nuances are there, you know, that's where all the deliciousness is in there. So I try to interrogate the script as much as I can, but also work collaboratively with my directors as well. So, yeah, for me, it's the script and my directors.
Yeah. Does it matter what kind of message a particular series is giving out when you consider which roles to take up, you know, because... Yeah. Look, we do live in a complex country, right? And whether you like it or not, there are some people who prefer watching a series than picking up a book to read about any kind of social ill. Sure. Do you feel that burden as an actress, like, you know, to communicate those messages? Absolutely.
There are some productions that I've said no to before because, like you said, we have a responsibility with what we put out there. So if Mna as Zola, I don't really relate to it, I think I've gotten to a place in my career where I can now stand firm and say, actually, no, this one is not for me. It's hard, trust you me, it's really difficult. But I think we're cooler in the industry and understanding and what my responsibilities are. So the content does really matter. And guess what? I took my brother's keeper, so...
The rest was history, they say.
The rest is history,
We're going to run with it. And we're so grateful that you did. Speaking about Oola, I mean, it hasn't always been that way. You know, I think very few artists can say, I can turn down work, you know, especially in our industry.
Yeah.
And I wonder what you put that down to. I mean, it's obviously your talent. You put in the work. But in many instances, people will tell you that there's always that one thing that tipped the scale.
Yeah.
I wonder what that is for you.
Look, I think for me, I do somewhat judge the story itself, you know, and if Andy's born Kuyo, then I'll end up acting, of which is something I don't like to do. I don't like to act, I like to be. So when I see that I do not have the capacity to be within that story or that space, then I will just gracefully walk away.
Right. Do you have people who are there to guide the decisions you make in the background, you know? Is this all just intuition, you know, what drives the decisions you make? No man is an island, man. I'm fortunate enough that my lovely partner is in the industry, someone that I highly respect. Shout out to the partner. So, so I do bounce off those ideas through him, you know, also my agent as well. But of course I pray a lot and I go with my intuition as well and I chat with Christ to see, is this one for us or not? Yeah. Does that work for you, by the way, since you dropping hints about partners in the industry? Dating in the industry? Is that something that you found has worked out for you? It has worked out for me. Look, it's something that before I was like, never days will I do this. But I think being with Thomas actually really, really works for me because, see, I understand the underdog, you know. He gets my frustrations with the industry. He gets the demands of the industry itself. So sometimes I don't need to explain anything because he already gets it. So for me, it works. All right, shout out to you, man. May there be many, many more. Thank you. The frustrations in the industry is also something that you've mentioned. I mean, I was speaking to a colleague of mine about where television, film, largely speaking, has been in this country and where we are now. The onboarding of these online platforms, the Netflix, the Showmaxes, really seemingly opening the door to a whole lot more than what used to exist just 10 years ago. You know, what's your assessment of where we're at and the kind of work we're able to do now? Look, I think the streaming services have brought obviously a different dimension within storytelling, you know. It has widened our surface area of contact, you know, with our audiences. So for me, I feel like it's growth in a way, but I have a big but, you know, with our industry, especially, you know, with the remunerations that we get as artists, you know, we are seen or... Because we have a huge responsibility within our society that I think people kind of forget, and people just think it's an entertainment space. Yes, we are entertaining, but also we do also have responsibility as artists, you know. I think there is good potential at it, but I guess we'd need our government to support us a bit more, you know, and just for the actors, for us to be a unified front within the space of artistry, because it's not just for us. It will come a time where we will need to step back, and for other people, the younger people, to come on in, you know, and take the baton from us. And it's our responsibility to make sure that when we do leave, that we've left it at least with some fertile soil. So that takes a lot of time, but like I said, I think there is great potential with us growing, but come on, we can push further. Yeah, absolutely, without a doubt, you know. And speaking about passing on the baton, there's been a lot of commentary. In fact, it was at the SAFTAs, Babam Fugeng, forget his first name now, who mentioned the importance of going with people who understand the craft, right? Who have studied this and understand the responsibility that comes with portraying a particular character like Ufakazile, for example. And I wonder what your view of that is, you know. And I only ask this as you grin, because I know it's conversations you must have had with Thomas at the very least. Right? Are we moving away from that? And if so, is it a wise decision?
Look, it's something that's happening. It is a reality that we are dealing with. You know, we've got social media, and we know that it's the new way of marketing. The more eyes that are on you, the more opportunities that you will possibly get, or we want to poach you because we want those numbers. It does come then to a detriment of our industry itself, because then we come with mediocre performances, you know, or things that you're just like, oh, you know, you grind your teeth in the process. But in the same space, I say there are some hidden gems out there. There are amazing performers that I've seen on TikTok, on Instagram, you know. For example, there's people that even make auditions, you know, on social media because it's such a powerful platform. But I think the statement or the point that Baba raised is really important, and it's something that I hope our producers out there have actually listened to hear with the, okay, there might be somewhere that we could improve. Whether we give these people like a chance to actually hone their skills, whether we train these people that have these numbers, then I would say, okay, the space to grow. But if we're just still doing it just on the fact that someone has numbers,
absolutely, and in some ways we're already paying the price. All right, my brother's keeper, without giving away too much, what can people expect? Your big moments that you reckon they should look out for?
There's a lot of drama with us. Look, this is a production where I literally enjoy the script. The story itself is so gripping that even us as the performers ourselves, we literally can't put down the script and go back to it's a story, it's 90. You just want to know what's going to happen next. I think it's been written beautifully. And also, we've touched on ukungena. So there's a lot of drama that's going to get in there. Who's Fakazile going to marry? Because we've seen the husband is dead. And why is Fakazile being put into that space? So Abantu, you have to watch it to see what's about to pop.
We absolutely can't wait to see the rest of it. Zola Nombona, you're amazing. Continue shining. And thanks for speaking to us. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.